In regards to zoning, how will the project affect zoning? Will or is it projected to change any of the zoning? And is there a concurrent master community plan, example business zones, residential with light commercial, etc.?
And that's a very important question. We'd like to continue to work with the municipalities for this corridor. Municipalities do dictate land use. Municipalities and county and townships. And so that's something that we would like to work closely with them, is the land use plan around this corridor.
If a project passes through a property zoned agriculture and the property size drops below the minimum requirement, will the landowner be able to be liable for increase in tax base? It'd be more of my question again.
That was one hidden land acquisition question, I think.
Sure. The project passes through a property that is zoned agriculture, and the property size decreases the minimum requirement. Will the owner be liable for the increased tax base?
The department has no control over the taxing bodies as far as sorry about that. As far as how do I say this? No, yeah.
You need tap shoes.
If you fall below the minimum, the department will work with you to get a variance with the local governing body, taxing body, to get a variance to allow you to remain. Say, and I apologize, I'm not a farmer, but say you have a 50-acre tract and that is the minimum required acreage to farm that property, and we come through and clip your property and knock it down to 45 acres instead of the minimum 50, the department would work with you and try and assist you in getting a variance that would allow you to remain there in a farming capacity. When we do most projects, and again, this is a brand new road starting out from scratch, most projects, when we come through and we are going through a residential area that has a minimum 5-acre standard, and we come through and take 2/10 of an acre to knock it down to 4.8 acres, our success rate working with the local agencies is very high as far as allowing for a variance. The local agency isn't looking to have you discontinue the use of a piece of farmland or have a residence leave because they're now 2/10 of an acre below the minimum. So we will try to assist you and work with the locals in obtaining that variance.
Okay, thanks, Mike. This question, I think, could be answered in a couple different ways. Are most of the secondary roads going to be kept open? Whether that is during
yes, and that's something
road
that
closures.
the question is it kind of goes into what are the next steps. We like to work closely with the municipalities as far as what roads, what cross streets need to be kept open for fire, for bus, for school. And so that's something that we need to continue to work on. Any type of road closure, we need a hearing to do that. And so that's something that we need to look at the adverse travel, and that's something that we need to get into those details. Right now, we've kind of gone from a 950 square mile area to now starting to look just at this B3 corridor within the last 4 weeks. So we're just not there yet. That's something that we're going to continue to work on in Tier 1 and try to work at conceptual locations. And then in Tier 2, we will detail those locations of overhead structures.
A couple of questions in regards to noise barriers. This one in particular about the high wires. Are the intentions of putting the high wires underground between 53 Piéton Blacktop and and North River Road and actually building the highway on top?
No, right now we are not showing, well, we are relocating some of the towers. They're either going to get probably raised higher. With the voltage of what you're looking at with that type of corridor, they most likely will not be placed underground. That's entirely up to the utility company, and that is all on easement, their easement, so that's something that we need to work with the utility company on as far as how it's going to look at that specific location or at any locations here. When we go up and down near this corridor and looking at the cross streets, most likely these towers are going to get raised up.
Will sound barriers be installed? And what measures will be taken to protect families from noise due to projected increased truck traffic?
Yes, noise and air pollution is something that we are going to look at in Tier 1 at a conceptual level. Tier 2 would look at the actual noise mitigation. One of the reasons why we're looking at it in really further detail in Tier 2 is that we have, at the end of Tier 1, we have a 2,000-foot corridor with a 400-foot working alignment within it. Now, we're trying to maximize that 400-foot working alignment and find the best fit for that within that 2,000 feet. Without knowing exactly where that edge line is, we don't know exactly where the noise is going to go or where the air pollution is going to go. So that's something that we have to continue into Tier 2 to determine the noise and air quality measures and mitigation.
How far from a dwelling does the road need to be to not have a light/noise barrier installed?
It's all based on the traffic, the projected traffic of the road. It's based on profile. There's a lot of considerations that are needed, or a lot of geometrics that need to be done in order to determine what warrants a noise mitigation measure, such as a barrier wall or a noise wall. So I do not have that answer.
And this is specific to a specific location of sound barrier. Will there be a sound barrier put in by Water's Edge Subdivision at 53 and Peatone Blacktop?
And that's something that we will continue to look at in Tier 1 and in Tier 2 and look at the noise. We do have policies that are on IDOT's website. They follow FHWA. Indiana has the same policy that follows FHWA noise policy and regulations. That's something that is in the draft that will be in Tier 1 EIS, looking at a conceptual level of the noise and noise impacts. When Tier 2 will detail out those noise impacts and identify any potential mitigation opportunities.